Hello everybody, welcome back to Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and today we're going to tackle a problem that I had on my truck. Uh, all of a sudden, a couple weeks ago, my fuel gauge started going all the way to the pin. Pegging the whole way. As soon as you turn the switch on, it'd go all the way, no matter how much fuel you had in it. The empty tank, all the way. Well, I can't have that. I gotta know what gas I got in my truck, because I'm telling you, there ain't nothing worse than running out of fuel because you don't know how much fuel you got in it. And I ain't got time for all that calculating bullshit. So I want to get it fixed. You find a problem, fix it. Don't fix it before it's a problem, but fix it. Found out what the problem was. I got to crawling underneath there. Now, I'll give you a little history on this truck. This truck is no longer run by the computer. When I first got that truck, it was built by several different trucks. And they were building it for truck and tractor pulls. And that's why it's got the weight bar holder on the front of it that you slide your weight bar in. And I've cut most of all that stuff out to take a little weight off of that truck. And I'm gonna tell you, that truck's not light. And when I first got it, the gas tank was bungee cord in, literally a bungee cord was holding that tank in, and they didn't get the top sealed. You know, when you put that sending unit down in the tank, you got to make sure it seats on that O-ring. And then you take the ring and put it down, and you put it underneath all three of the points, and then you turn it until it locks into place. They only had one underneath. The other two were up, so it was allowing fuel to come out. Well, I went to the pump and found out rudely that was a problem. So I fixed that, but now we've got another problem. A mouse has gotten up in there and chewed my wiring right at the frickin' plug. Now, because this is not run by the computer no more, and it's got a mechanical fuel pump on the motor itself, the big 460, that's right, I said 460, and it didn't need the fuel pump no more, so these two were spliced. I understand why those were cut. But a mouse chewed that wire off, and it was just dangling underneath there. I just reached up there and I said, what the hell's that wire for? Well, it goes to that. Well, the little son of a bitch cut it, or chewed it, right at the damn thing, so we're hoping that we can fix this. Well, I ain't hoping, I know I can fix it. It's just going to take a little finagling to get that close to make it right. So I'm gonna put you down here to this bench, and by the way, I got my new panel up here on the mill, and I've got my switch on here. This one back here, it don't matter if it's back here because there's nothing in the way of it. I don't need to be on that switch. All I need that is for on and off. Once it's on or once it's off, my hands are out of the way, so it doesn't matter. So I left that switch there because it's going to mean moving 3 more wires, and I already had to move 4. I didn't want to move all of them, so it was not necessary to move this one. So I moved the up and down switch up here. So now I have a panel that I can add other stuff to it. Let's say I wanted to add a little clock here or something, or switch for a light, because eventually I'm going to build me a light underneath here, an LED light. I can't see paying that much for one of those lights. That's crazy. When I've got LED lights, I can make some kind of a panel right here and put some LED lights on it and have a switch up here for the lights. So it's basically going to be a switch box or whatever. Now the back side of it looks a little ugly from the side, but I plan to Well, I'm not planning, I'm already doing it. On the 3D printer right now, I've got a cover that I'm making that's 2 inches, 2.5 inches thick, and the right size for the back of this with 4 screw holes, one in each corner, and a cutout for this uh, cord so that I can encase this in plastic. So this will not be seen. That'll look a whole lot nicer. And I've got my cable management down to a minimum. I'll show you that before we get started. Let me put down this cancer stick. Yeah, I know, I don't need them, right? I agree with you 100%. So keep your comments to yourself. Anyway, I want to eventually go and get something like this right here for like a vacuum cleaner hose or a pool, and make a piece to go right from here down to here, just to kind of cover that up and make it look a little nicer. And then I want to put some stuff like this right here on this one over here to protect that wire. But it has to be that long so it can reach all the way over here. But anyway, we're going to set you up right here. I got to move my stuff, see what I got to do for you guys. Alright, so I marked this with a piece of tape, and I marked the other end of this that I cut. This one here wasn't broke, but I wanted to get it out so I can work on it, because I wasn't going to work on this underneath there. I knew what was going to be involved. So basically what I'm going to do, when in a case like this, the ideal thing is to buy another pigtail. But where I'd find a pigtail is around here is kind of next to impossible. So it's got rubber around that, and I believe if I take a razor really easy, I mean, you can see where them son of a bitches been chewing on that thing, man. What the hell's wrong with them frickin' things? They're crazy. I think it's about time to set me a trap in my truck. So let me get my stuff together here and we'll show you how I'm going to fix that. Alright, so we've got our cutters, our strippers, and our crimpers. So I've got some shrink tube here. I've got the part we need to fix. I got some extra wire, soldering iron, cutter, X-Acto knife, a freshly tinned soldering iron, side cutters for cutting wire, or these, either one. I like to alternate. So we're just going to cut us some decent sized pieces here, probably about 8 inches long. That looks like about 8 inches right there. Who needs a tape measure, right? Alright, and then we're going to make this one identical. Alright, so now we're done with that. Now we're going to take and strip this wire on the end. Just a little bit on that end. And this wire doesn't like to strip. And then this end will be the end that we splice it with. So I like to make them a little bit longer. Alright. So now, I don't twist the part that I'm going to be twisting with another wire, simply because the other one's going to be the same way, and these will interlock with each other a little better than having a big old ball of two different, like a rope. But anyway, this is going to be the end we're going to solder to this one. And then this one we're just going to be splicing. So we're just going to splice that one into that one right there. And we're going to do both ends of that. And I need to help my strippers. They're getting a little wore out. Alright, so then we're going to cut us a couple pieces of this. And this is shrink tube. And we're probably going to do about that long on both of them. Give them a little added support and help from the elements. Alright. Hope that's the right size. Alright, so now we're done with that, all the tools. We got that. Now, what we need to do is go in here and I want to test to see if I can pull that up out of there. If I can pull that piece of rubber up out of there, it's going to make this a whole lot easier. And it looks like it's coming, but I don't know what's under there and how that's attached. It's coming. Alright, so this is what we got going on here. So we have enough there to work with. So what we're going to do, we're going to twist that. These wires don't even need to be there. Alright. Then we're going to tin those. We're going to tin both of these. Alright, I had to go get a helper. So, let's try this again. Now I can put a little pressure on it, get some heat on that wire. Now that one tinned real good. Let's see if we can do the other one the same way. That one didn't take very damn good. Couldn't get enough pressure on it. Alright, so now let's melt them two together. Alright, we got it attached. So now what I'm going to do is try to get a different bite on this and get it so that I can I want to add a little more down in there on that one side, but we're hoping that the two clamps will hold that together so that it doesn't separate on me. Alright. So now we're done with the soldering iron. So now we've got that fixed. Now we need to move this down. Actually, I'm going to have to put another one on it. I don't think it really matters which one goes to which, but I'd like to try to keep it the same way it was. So far the fixed one is the one that doesn't go to that. So now I've got a pocket there that I can go down in there, and I need to get rid of a burr here. Alright, now we're going to take this and go all the way down in that hole. All the way. Then we'll grab our heat gun and heat shrink that and blow everything off the table. Alright, so now we'll take this one and we'll splice that one. But first I gotta find the parts I just blowed off the table because I need it next. There we go. Alright, so now we're just gonna wrap this and then we're going to fold that, because the reason I fold towards away from where I'm putting this on, so this will slide up on there and it won't catch. And then we'll shrink wrap that too. I'll tell you, it don't take long for that gun to get hot. Alright, so now this one is the one that we need to mark, because this is the one that's going to the wire I cut. So rather than me having to try to remember it, I'll just put this little piece of tape on there. That way I know this one goes to the one that's in the truck. So now I'm going to take a piece of this bigger shrink wrap, and we're going to go just a little past the furthest one that we have. And then we're going to wrap both. And then we're going to heat shrink that too. And we're fixed. But now what I want to do is I want to eliminate these two right here. I could just cut it right off, but just in case I ever need it, I'd like for it to be on there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take me a couple pieces of this heat shrink, and we're just going to heat shrink those. Alright, so we're done. Now this is not going to touch nothing. It doesn't matter because there's no power going to it, no power coming from it. All this is for the fuel pump. And since I have a mechanical fuel pump, this truck was not necessary to have that. So they cut all that stuff out of there, and I've been going back in, I'm still going back and fixing stuff that they should have done themselves. I hate to have seen this truck in its first tractor pull, or truck pull. I imagine the first time they pulled on that sled, that truck probably would have fell apart. Literally. Tank would have fell out. When I first got that truck, you could not drive over over 35 miles an hour. As soon as you got to 35 miles an hour, the whole front end literally jumped off the ground. Bounced. That's how bad it was. I had to replace the bushings in the front of it. The good news was they had already replaced everything else. The drag link is the most expensive part to fix, and I didn't have to buy that. So that made me happy that they replaced everything in it except for the last thing that was the problem, and that was the spring bushings. So anyway, that's how you fix a fuel tank. Now I'm gonna go out here and hook it up, and we're gonna plug it up. Now this is no guarantee that this is gonna fix the problem. This is just one problem that needed to be fixed. I don't know how much havoc that mouse has caused, but I'm hoping that this will fix the problem and I don't have to go no further. And now I can go in the house and relax and watch y'all's comments and answer you back. So I'll go out to the truck. I'm going to go ahead and hook this up, and the next thing is we'll show the gauge whether it's working or not. Alright guys, let's test this thing out and see if it works. We already know it works. Before, that needle was all the way up. And that's about how much gas I have in it. Because I just filled up a couple about a week ago. So at least it's correct now. And I think it's too dark. There you go. But it's working now. So rather than take your vehicle to a professional thief, because that's what most mechanics are, professional thieves. I've actually seen people go in for, I was going to take over a garage, and I was there for about a month just filling out the situation, see if I was interested in taking it over. And this son of a bitch man that worked there, he should have been flogged big time. And he went and got a customer, some woman come in there, and she come in for a battery. He took his big old truck battery. I mean, the thing was way too big for her car. And he put it in her car and put the hood down, sent her on. She never even checked. Well, she come in later and jumped his ass over it. And that wasn't the only one that ever happened. That was many of the things people, I was actually getting scared to be there because these people were irate. And I said, no, I ain't taking that over. It's already, the name has already been ruined. You can't recover from bad business, especially if you keep the same name, which I wouldn't have. But still, the place had a bad rep to it, so I didn't do it. But anyway, That turned into a long story, didn't it? That's how you fix something without having to spend a fortune to have a mechanic rape you. Uh, it's very simple. I just reached up underneath there. Of course, my truck's not low to the ground, so I can get underneath there and get to everything I want to get to with minimal effort and be able to sit down while I'm doing it. I love that truck, man. Everything about that truck is easy, except for the gas. Uh, so I just soldered a wire to it and then put the shrink wrap on it, but I took the shrink wrap all the way in. That's why I pulled the rubber out, so I can get the shrink wrap all the way down in that tunnel. And that way nothing's going to touch it. It's inside the housing. So, but it works now, and I'm tickled to death because I tell you, I hate driving a vehicle if the gas gauge don't work on it. That makes me a nervous wreck when I'm driving. And as much of a pain in the ass driving is anymore, trying to get away from people who drive crazy, and there seems to be more of those today than there are not crazy. Anyway, that's how you fix it, and I hope you guys learned something out of it. And don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget your Trump coffee. You guys have a good one. Later.